focus on, really. At the evidence, well, first of all, Caesar's The Gallic Wars is dated to have been written in a time where it would be possible for it to be an eyewitness account. Whereas for the Gospels, the earliest one is projected to have been written at the earliest 70 AD.
No. Almost all Ivy League scholars will not place Mark after AD 69, and they recognize the Passion narrative was written in the 30s and 40s, so no. Not to mention that there was conglomerations of eyewitness accounts throughout the four canonical Gospels. 3 of the Gospels go to length to say this, and then we have extra biblical stuff like Papias saying that Mark was heavily relied upon the words of Simon Peter, which probably means the latter third, because it's 2/3 of a long introduction. The last third is this final conflict thing. So no. And as of the Gallic Wars, how many manuscripts do we have? Time span from composition to early manuscript, not to mention propaganda. 4 competing Gospels and 1 official Roman history written by 1 guy, or at least under the authority of the emperor that could kill you. Which one's more reliable? So no. And as for eyewitnesses, yeah, we had James and Peter, unless you want to throw out all the Pauline works. So no. No, you missed it here, but she said life expectancy at the time was 55 years.
At best.
At best.
Without persecution, wars, famine, or natural disasters, or anything like that.
Where is she getting that? Cite one source, please. Where are you getting that? Not true.
Famine, or natural disasters, or anything like that. So, and pretty much have to be born the year that Jesus allegedly died in order to make that believably an eyewitness account. Of course, then it wouldn't be believably because you'd be too little to remember anything.
70 AD.
None of the Gospels are eyewitness accounts. They're not even dated to be eyewitness accounts.
This is an outright lie. 70 AD. So people only live to be 40 years old. Are you taking lifespan around the year 850, or are you taking it in ancient Egypt 1500 years before Christ? Because the Roman period, people lived for quite a long time. People lived into their 80s. The thing was the infant mortality rate. As soon as you got past the age of 5, living into your 60s, 70s, and 80s was not a big thing. You don't know anything about history. Sorry, ginger white girl, but no. It's what the young kids called it epic fail. So let's go on.
Caesar's account of the wars were in circulation a minimum of 6 years after they were written, because we have Cicero praising them in approximately 46 BCE. We also have
what wars?
Strabo, citing it in approximately 20 BCE.
Wait, what wars? Are you talking about the Jewish wars like Josephus and Bar Kokhba? Let's go again.
Strabo, citing it in approximately 20 BCE. This is into circulation way earlier than any of the gospel accounts in the canon. Furthermore, when we're looking at the Gallic Wars, we're taking into account the political atmosphere of the time. And
the Gallic Wars happened well, what's now modern-day France. They weren't in Canaan. The Gallic Wars were against Vercingetorix. Again, I've studied history for 15 years, from the Hasmonean period to the 9th century of the Byzantine period. Yeah, you're going to want to come with more ammo than that.
We're assuming there will be propaganda in it, which means that...
In Roman sources, absolutely propaganda. Absolutely. In 4 competing texts called Biblos that make it into what's known as the 27-book canon of the West, what propaganda is there? Just different viewpoints, not propaganda. They're not trying to... I mean, for God's sake, check with Dale Martin at Yale, Bart Ehrman, John Dominic Herson, I mean, even the late Marvin Meyer. You're not... No. Epic fail. I don't know where you're getting this, because it's just non sequiturs and tangents. Sorry. It's not even Christianity that's irritating me, it's just the fact that the ignorance of history, when somebody like me studied history for well over 15 years, and actually had to research it and write papers and books on it.
We're taking it as sort of a general outline of what may have happened, unlike how we're taking the Gospels, usually to be that this...
Bullshit. The Gospels are general outlines. I don't care that 100 years ago in the United States they decided that they were dictation, but no. Read the early church fathers, read how the Bible was compiled. Hey, actually read 4 different Gospels. They read completely differently. Yes, they are outlines, and that's pretty much only what they are. The theology you don't get from the Gospels, you get from people like Paul, Ignatius of Antioch, and the church. So, yeah, wrong.
This is literally exactly how it happened, and we're also going to ignore the contradictions therein.
You don't ignore the contradictions. The contradictions help you establish that Christ was a historical figure. Ignoring contradictions, no, none of these books are written to be without error. Again, your American ethnocentric white racist projection upon these things really shows. So, okay, all right, white girl, Shinji, white girl, go on.
What you said also fails to account for the fact that Caesar's account for the wars is not the only evidence we have for them. For one, there are coins that were minted.
Jesus or Josephus? Funny thing is, Jesus predicted the Bar Kokhba revolution. Bar Kokhba revolt, because we have Gospels dating back before that. Not to mention we have Ryland's Papyrus manuscript that dates to 117, and the Gospel of John was written around 190 to 198, so that's less than 20 year span. So yeah, foot in mouth.
Celebrating Caesar's victory in Gaul. We also have...
Again, Gaul. Do you know where Gaul is? Gaul is what would become France, but was occupied by the Celts at the time. And Caesar? You mean Julius Caesar? Who lived long before Jesus of Nazareth was born? Or are you going to act like Augustus Caesar fought in Gaul against Vercingetorix? Get your Caesar straight. Yeah. This is what really irritates me. Somebody who knows jack about history trying to act all intelligent because they're atheist. Or they claim to be atheist. I don't think they are.
Found in excavations proof of military camps.
And so did we at Masada and at the destruction of Jerusalem all 4 times. And it matches exactly with the Old Testament. We found the Dan Stellai, the Moabite stone. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. We found Dura Europos. What else do you want? I mean, far more evidence for early Christianity than the Gallic War. Because we have one source for that, and it's Roman. Yet for early Christianity, we have hostile Jews, hostile Greeks, hostile Romans, and multiplicity of Christian factions that hated each other, as well as Egyptian religions that did not like the Christians, as well as civil authorities, as well as Pliny, Trajan, Tacitus, Suetonius, Josephus, who's the other guy? Celsus, Tacitus, Pliny, Josephus. I mean, just keep going. I mean, even the Sasanians wrote about it. Even the Jews in the Talmud wrote about Jesus, so, and the early apostles. So yeah, don't know where you're going with this. Gallic Wars, no, don't even hold the torch.
In Gaul, and also proof of Romans in Mont Castel, which I understand to be a place of some historical importance in the wars. And that's just to name a few. Now, if we were to take into account the cultural, religious, and literary atmosphere of the time Christianity arose, we're going to need to talk about a couple of things. The first of which is euhemerization, being the term for when somebody takes a mythical being, specifically gods, goddesses, deities, etc., and writes an historical account about them as if they were real people on earth.
This was thoroughly debunked. Jesus of Nazareth went around as an itinerant apocalyptic preacher, and divinity and deity didn't get heaped on him until far later. No New Testament historian, whether atheist, agnostic, all of scholarship in one voice says, no, Christ didn't begin as a god. He was an itinerant apocalyptic preacher who was crucified under Pontius Pilate. This is one of the most well-established facts in history. Sorry. As for Zeitgeist and dying and rising gods, none of those existed, and they've been debunked for 120 years, and then they were debunked back in 06. So I'll just leave it at this and send this to you, but within 8 minutes and 7 seconds, you came against somebody who is a historian, a researcher, an author, who studied ancient documents from the Hasmonean period all the way to 8800. And you've been crushed and you failed. Sorry to put it that way, but expert who for 15 years devoted their life to Roman and Sasanian civilization, as well as Jewish culture and religion and Mithraism, Greek and Roman religion, and the earliest factions of Christianity, and you fell flat on your face because one of us has all the ammunition and all scholarship on our side, and the other one doesn't. But because I say that there was a man named Jesus that actually existed, you're going to accuse me of being a fundamentalist Christian. Even though your route actually aids the fundamentalist Christians. And fundamentalist evangelical Christians are the biggest plight on the world today. So I don't know what to do with you people.